This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of 21 Questions. I am Craig Stout. I am joined today by one of my favorite humans ever, Big Mike DeVito. Mike, my friend, how you doing today?
Great. Man, I've missed you, brother. Thank you for having me on. Man, how's everything going?
Everything's going great. Yeah, typically we do the defensive film breakdown. My schedule has not allowed for that as of late, and so we haven't been hanging out, as much every week like we want to very much right now. So I miss it.
I miss hanging out with you and DJ. But that said, you don't need too much football knowledge to turn on Chief games on Sundays and see good defense being played. I mean, you don't need me to explain it to you.
I didn't think about it that way. We have spent how many years now? 3 years now, basically sitting down and saying, hey, listen, here are the good things. Like, I know y'all are down on Spags, but here are the good things that we're seeing. Here's the good play. Man, the end of the year and into the playoffs, we didn't have to do that anymore. It didn't take anybody with an analytical brain to understand. It's like, hey, they're good.
Craig, have you seen a defense in Kansas City that good? Because we always should talk, like, I know DJ and I would talk about it.
I mean, yeah.
Well,
you guys, that defense was excellent.
Oh, man, that defense was so good. I was blown away. I mean, I don't know if we'll probably talk about it today, but there's the obvious things that you see, the coverage, the pass result, but some of the stuff I saw in the run game, the way they played the run, oh, my goodness. I don't know. I feel like they're just so well coached. It was just that defense was spotless.
It was
spotless. Yeah,
it was. And we spent all of last year kind of talking about how, they're running a lot of basic coverages. They're running a lot of basic run fits and stuff like that. They're not trying to layer too much on these young players. They just want them to play fast. Andy Reid talks about it all the time. Steve Spagnuolo subscribes to that same theory and all of that. And then this year, they walked into the season, they said, all right, screw it. We're done running the basic stuff. Now we're running everything. And man, it worked. It was awesome to watch.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
So 21 Questions here for those who have never listened before is a question and answer show brought to you by the KCSN Discord. If you are a subscriber to the KCSN Substack, you get access to that Discord right now. If you sign up for the KCSN Draft Guide, you get access to the Discord and the Substack and all the wonderful stuff that we're going to be doing all off season. So make sure you're locked in. These questions are from there. Our first one, Gousley asked the question, will the Chiefs be more aggressive this offseason to chase history and get a three-peat, or do they stick with a measured approach since it's already been a winning formula? Mike, what do you think?
Oh, that's great. I mean, obviously the goal is to get a three-peat. You're going in there. And that's the primary focus. So the question is, what's the best way to accomplish that? And I feel like every year we talk about, hey, it's getting harder, cap stuff. There's always another Hall of Famer that comes up from the draft. Hey, now you got, how am I going to play these offensive linemen? So, like, part of me every year is nervous. Like, how are we going to keep everybody? Right? Because you can't pay everybody, but yet they figure out a way to do it. And obviously Tyreek Hill being the one major outlier, they find a way to do it. And for those of the guys that they can't keep, Veach and Andy have been excellent in the draft with getting guys to fill those positions and come in right away and do it. So yeah. So what was it? So Craig, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Do you want them to basically go all in? Do you want them to just throw a ton of assets, mortgage the future, or just kind of keep it the way that it's been because it's already winning? Or do you just really want to push for that three-peat?
What a fantastic question.
I know. Yeah.
That's a great question. I honestly have to think more about it. I kind of go both ways. I mean, I think in one sense, I love it. Yeah, let's go out and let's spend. Let's keep it.
Absolutely.
Loans, tell everybody, Snead, hey, hang on 1 year. Hey, this is coming down the road. Let's do this three-peat. But then, I feel like there have been times, and Kansas City is a totally different team, but there have been times that teams have done this in the past where they've gone big. And one time I think about Andy Reid back when he was in Philly, bringing the All-Star team, and it just doesn't work. So I don't know. I don't know. Sorry.
I'm kind of on the like. I would love a three-peat. Like, I mean, seriously, it's one thing when we were talking about the Chiefs going back to back, where you're looking at it, you're like, you don't need to throw everything in on a back to back. It's been done before. You're hoping that you get there, and obviously they do. Now you're talking about something that's never been done before, and that kind of like Brett Veach is a patient man, and I get that. But there's got to be something that's nagging at him in the back of his head that's going, what if I built a three-peat? What if I built this? You know, Andy's got to be thinking of that. Mahomes has got to be thinking about that. All the players have got to be thinking about that. So, yeah.
Craig, what's the position, though? What would be wide receiver again? Like what?
Wide receiver, maybe offensive tackle, you know, and maybe you try and make like a strength to strength and you add some more pass rushers. I don't know. Like, you know, try and come up with a couple of different things. The listing, obviously, there are all the premium positions other than quarterback there that it becomes very easy to spend money on those premium positions just because it costs more to get those guys. I could see them doing it, but only because it's one of those, we have an opportunity to do something that nobody's ever done before.
Right. Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, I would go back and look at what New England did back in, what was it, the early 2000s, and do the opposite of what they did. Because they won back from they did do the opposite.
I think that team just kind of went, we're going to stay the course until, what was that, like 2007? It was a couple of years later that they went, oh, never mind. We don't like how the offense is going. Let's go out and get Randy Moss and Wes Welker and, you know, like just, you know, spend all the money on those guys. So, yeah.
Exactly.
So what we're saying is go get prime Randy Moss. Like that's all you got to do.
And then still, you know what? But in all honesty, though, Craig, just before we grab it, like if the Chiefs did nothing, I would imagine they'd still be favored to win the Super Bowl. I mean, just what they have now.
They are currently second behind the 49ers, which I get. 49ers are a very young football team as well, and a very good football team. So, like, you're in the argument already, and you can't lose. Can't lose. And you got Patrick Mahomes, and this defense is largely coming back. And now all of a sudden I'm talking myself into don't do anything different. Just go out and keep winning.
I don't know how many times I saw Brady, you know, at least make it to that game, or Manning with no offensive line, no wide receivers, you know what I mean? So like Mahomes is on that level where if you stripped everything and just had Mahomes, we're probably still talking the AFC Championship.
Okay, so this is okay. Craig KCSN, because that's my logo on the Discord, is now asking this question because you said that. I'm putting one into 21 questions here.
Yeah.
As a player within the division, watching a quarterback that does that, you know, when you were playing with the Jets, you're watching Brady consistently go out and do that. Are you just kind of sitting back a little bit in awe, just being like, can you believe he's doing that with no receivers? Can you believe he's doing that with no offensive line? Are you aware that that's occurring? Is that something that crosses your mind?
Oh, Craig, it's more misery. It's absolute misery. Because, you know, we're never going to win the division. We're always going to be a wild card seed because we can't beat this guy. I was just talking to somebody today. This was my career. I went 6 years in New York, going against Brady twice a year, him winning the division every year. Then I come to Kansas City, go against Peyton Manning and Wes Welker twice a year for the whole time. Then I leave, and the next year they gave Mahomes. I'm like, what? What am I doing? So it's like my career was playing those quarterbacks, not making it to any Super Bowls, and then leaving the team that finally gets a quarterback like that, and now I have to watch from the sideline.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least we all get to enjoy it now, though. You know, from the outside, like there's at least a little silver lining there. So.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to eat when you're preparing for guys like Brady and Manning and now Mahomes. What you realize, what the message is right away is, first and foremost, we have to be flawless. You cannot make a mistake. Yeah. You can't turn the ball over. You can't get penalties like that. If you shoot yourself, you are done. They're gonna jump on you, and you'll never be able to catch up. And so I remember those weeks, like we have to be spotless. You know,
that makes sense. It does. It makes sense. And we talk about it all the time that the Chiefs have a greater margin for error, and we talk about it because of Patrick Mahomes. turning that on this. It's the same side, or a different side of the same coin there. Of hey, we can't screw up, because the moment we screw up, it's over.
Great.
So
Kansas City, and you think about the guys, the coaches talk about the importance of, when you're in the playoffs, having guys on the roster who have been there and done that. Not only has this Chiefs team had a ton of guys that's been there and done that, but they've had guys that have seen every scenario in every single playoff game at being down 30, being, this, that, and the other going. It's like they're so tempered and ready. Like, these moments are not too big for them. You know what I mean? So they go into play, they see this week, 49ers, I had somebody tell me today, 49ers were playing not to lose. Kansas City was playing to win. They were not shook. They were not flinching. It was just, no, we're going. We've been here, done that. Game's not, this game's not too big for us, which is just incredible.
It is. It absolutely is incredible. And to your point, where they've seen every scenario, they're literally one of the first teams now to ever see the new overtime rules too. So add another one of those into your pocket for the next time that you're in it's crazy. You've just blessed us fans. All right. So Hanover Fist asks the question, what's your confidence level in, rookie offensive tackle Wanye Morris stepping in and being the starting left tackle in 2024? If it's, do you feel like he's a guy that's a swing tackle? Do you feel like they should prioritize offensive tackle? Hanover Fist is basically alluding to the fact that this might be a sneaky bigger need for the Chiefs than maybe we're alluding to right now if Donovan Smith walks in free agency.
Yeah. Yeah. The key, so forgive me, the guy's a rookie? Is that
Wanye Morris? Yeah, he was a rookie this year, played 4 or 5 games.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about...
No, not a draft pick. No, God, it's on the roster.
I thought you were talking about a guy they bid to draft. I was like,
no. Yes. Good.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that position, and everybody knows, is absolutely key. I mean, it's crucial. I would say outside of the quarterback position, that's the next most important position. And so you better be damn sure. And heck, and those, Andy Reid, they're going to know if he's ready to do it or not. Morse ready to do it or not. But you don't want to play experiment there. You know what I mean? Like, you got a guy that you guys say, okay, he's ready to go or he's not ready to go. But the last thing you want is the guy who's protecting, the most vital in protecting Pat Mahomes being a project guy. You know what I mean? Being a guy that you have to make sure, what are we getting here? We're not sure. Let's work on him. So I think that if Donovan walks, I think you look in the draft. I think you still have to, you give Morris the tip of the hat to go ahead and go, but I would want a first round. Like, I'd want that before a receiver.
Oh yeah. I think I'm there the more I think about it now, and it's not because, Patrick Mahomes could do it with anything. No, they still need wide receivers. They clearly still need wide receivers. And the more players that are hitting the free agent market, like Mike Evans is now rumored to hit the market. Yeah. We're talking about Brandon Ayuk potentially being available for a trade. Not to say those guys are going to end up in Kansas City, but it definitely drives the rest of the wide receiver market down a little bit more. So now all of a sudden, I'm a little happier playing in the middle tier wide receiver market, spend that first round draft pick on an offensive tackle. I really wish that they were, close enough to go get Joe Alt's son, who is my goodness, he's so ready to go. But
where would you have to go to get him?
Yeah, he's probably top 10. Like, he's that level of good and just is going to be good forever. But that's when you get good offensive tackles. That's when you're able to target those guys that can play quickly and really build to that immediately. So, yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I'm looking at that as kind of a round 1 pick. Maybe.
And correct me if I'm wrong, too, but I feel like those offensive line positions are the least risky when it comes to drafting. I feel like those are the guys, if they've done it in college, whatever the metrics are, that guy's ready to go.
Oh, especially if you're getting a guy that you're not like projecting, not like, this guy has 1 year of experience and he's a little bit raw. There's enough offensive tackles that it's like, I've been playing for, I'll use Alt as an example. I've been playing at Notre Dame for 4 years. And guess what? I've been starting forever and I'm a really good The risk is minimal. You don't have to worry about that sort of stuff very often. So yeah. All right. Casey from KC asks your thoughts specifically on the interior defensive lineman play in the Super Bowl win and how important that aspect contributed to the success of the defense, man.
My favorite play was Pennell on the he had
on Trent Williams.
So here's what makes this so great. And this would have been a good one for the breakdown. Yeah. So in Spags' defense, those guys, we've talked about it, they're playing run on the way to the quarterback. So they're very attack-oriented, up the field, going. Now, I was a total opposite. I was a run stopper. In order to be a good run stopper and play the blocks well, it's very hard when you're up the field 100 miles an hour, because it puts you in weird positions when you have to stop and now play into run blocks. So I actually played out of my hips and played into the guy and then took my steps afterward. So I could play those blocks well. That's not how Spags teaches. I mean, you see those guys, they're hitting it. So it's very difficult to play back blocks, scoop blocks, things like that in this defense, because you're usually up the field. But that was played perfectly.
Phenomenal.
I mean, I could not have played that well, and I would have been at the line of scrimmage trying to read those guys. It's just that was my favorite play, and those are the kind of things that make a statement, right? You see that big man in there, he's holding Williams up with one arm, TFL or whatever it was on the line of scrimmage. I don't know if it was TFL.
It was a run stop, yeah.
It was just like, that is not only was the technique flawless, but that was sort of a momentum changing, in your face, like, we're tougher and better than you type play. It brought me back to the old school sort of, like, that's a Ray Lewis type play where it's just like a nasty hit.
Yeah.
I loved everything about it. That was, so yeah. So long story short, the interior defensive line did great. Obviously Chris and all those guys, but I was really, really, I mean, it just drove home the fact that I'm retired, because I couldn't play in this NFL. They're incredible. So, but yeah, I thought they did great.
I'm so glad you brought up that play, Mike. You know me, we broke it down enough tape. I jumped out of my chair when that one happened. Like I did. The moment that they showed, we were so fortunate to have the reverse angle of that play when they showed the replay. Like, I saw it initially, I was like, did Pennell do that? When they showed the reverse angle, I just shot up out of my chair. I was just so excited. That's unreal. That's a first team All-Pro going against a guy that was on the street in October and loves being a Kansas City Chief. Loves being a Chief. That was it might have been my very favorite play of the entire game. And that includes the walk-off touchdown. Like that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what the play was.
That's great, right? Like that, I get more excited about that than we're defensive guys. That's why we do the defense.
This is why we hang out, Mike.
That stinking play, man. I was jealous, because I'm always like, oh man, these guys don't play the run like we used to. You know what I mean? Like I'm the old man hating from the chair, and I see that.
You see that one?
Like, that was miraculous. That was absolutely miraculous.
All right, Neil asks, how have you been, Mike, and how was your first year at UMaine?
Oh, thank you. I've been really well. It's been nice to be back with a football program. So, well, I don't know if we've talked about it, Craig, but the head coach for the University of Maine was actually a freshman when I was a senior there, and we both played defensive line. So when he got the head job, I was like, oh man, I'm in to help however I can. So I've been doing the player development stuff over there. And what's been really nice is, and I've talked about it before, like you miss the guys, you miss being a part of something, you miss, being a part of the team with a goal in mind, and everybody's trying to do, reach that goal, and you're giving your time, your talents, your treasures to accomplish that. And it's been great to be a part of that again. And just like, I have to hold back tears when I'm on the sideline and the guys are coming off and they're gapping me up and giving me a hug and saying hello. It's just like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been great. So thank you for asking that. It's been a lot of fun. The college game, it's amazing how much it's changed, Craig, especially with the NIL and the transfer portal and all.
Sure.
it seems much more like the NFL now than it did when I was playing. I mean, you're basically in free agency all year, and you're just constantly trying to keep your best players, and so it's challenging in that respect. But I'm really enjoying being around the guys, and you're also, especially in the player development role, I'm trying to help them get ready for life too. So it's not just these guys on the field, but trying to give them resources and assets and all these things so that when they get out into the real world, they can help them be more successful. So I'm enjoying it.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And when I saw Neil ask that question when I was scrolling through here, and I saw him ask that question, I was like, oh, that's perfect. I know Neil likes talking about it. So yeah, that's a great one. All right, man. We are going to take a small break, and we will be right back to answer more of your questions.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
All right, we are back with more of your questions. This one from Derek in the Mountains. He says, I want Mike's impressions on Tommy DeVito hype this year. Also, any relation?
Tommy DeVito. I've been following Tommy DeVito since he was in college, just because of his last name. Right. I have loved what it's so hard to come into the NFL, especially this NFL, as a rookie and have any sort of success, let alone come in as a rookie at quarterback in the goal. And New York is hard. I love this.
You would know. Yeah.
It's hard. The hardest position in the NFL is playing quarterback in New York. And I thought he did a great job. He rolled with it. The thing is, he's a humble guy. He's a nice guy. But he rolled with it and he did a great job. And I'm rooting hard for Tommy. He's not a relative person. So Tommy's more, if you look at Tommy, he's like the Jersey Shore Italian, right? Where he's down there and he's drinking a Long Island iced tea, and he's the techno. Yeah. My kind of DeVito Italian is a guy in a deli in Brooklyn with a tracksuit on, and he's like 40 pounds. Like those are the kind of DeVitos that are in my bloodline. I don't have too many of the Jersey Shore types. He's more chiseled, better looking guy.
Sounds like you're describing a front. It sounds like
sure.
No, that's a good one there. KC from KC asks, the most cookie societies that you have pounded in one day and your favorite flavor. Do you know how many you've taken down in one day? Because I actually set a record when I was in Dallas over the Shrine game weekend.
I don't know how many I did, but I will tell you this story. So Jeff and I were doing, I was doing a different podcast up here. Yeah. And we were supposed to, I bought a 24-pack, and we were going to go through the 24-pack together on the podcast and rate all the different cookies.
Sure.
And that box never made it to, I ate the whole thing. I got it like 3 days early in the mail. It was gone. There was nothing. I was like, guys, I ate every single one. That's perfect. What's my favorite one? Gosh, the banana pudding one.
It's so good.
Has the thing at top. What's amazing to me about those cookies is if they had one that was like bacon double cheeseburger with a side of fries and a Diet Coke, it's going to taste exactly like, it's like the Willy.
Yes.
Spot on. It's like, it doesn't taste like a cookie. Like whatever the thing is there, and it's supposed that the flavor is, that's exactly what it tastes like. Everything. I'm just like, this is banana pudding. How am I eating this right now?
It's insane. My favorite one is the salted caramel, but the banana pudding is way up there as well. Yeah, when we were in Dallas for the Shrine game, obviously, that's the home of Cookie Society. We actually darted in the day before the AFC Championship game, happened to be in the area, so bounced in to pick some up and happened to run into Jeff's wife. She was running by there, so we got to say hi, and BJ, knew her from before, so we got to say hi and all of that. So I picked up a box and housed all but one of the box. I got to the end and I went, I shouldn't eat all of these. Like, that's how good they are. It's just insane.
You just can't look at the nutrition label. I have
oh no, Slutty. No, I walked in. It's just like, I don't care.
No.
It does not matter. I'm going to be,
that's it. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Craig, I looked at the nutrition label for Five Guys one time, and I can't go back. I just can't.
Yeah, don't.
I'm like, I refuse to look at nutrition labels because I'm like,
don't ruin that for you.
No, I can't ruin.
All right, Kyle C said, and you actually might have answered this already by saying the quarterback in New York, the hardest position to play in the NFL. He actually asked that question.
Yeah. The quarterback in New York is. It is. You have to be a different breed. Like this, I have a ton of respect for Eli Manning because down year over there, like that was the biggest difference. And listen, I'm from New York. My family, I have everybody's out there, so I love New York. They are tough. I mean, I'll just my family alone. I'll go home to Cape Cod or New York, wherever they are, and I'll walk in and my cousin will be like, "You look like shit." That'll be the first. They're not about to shave or something. That's the first, Craig. It's the first thing out of their mouth. So it's just like that. It just encapsulates. Like there's no filter. There's no grace. Not it's very blunt. So like playing quarterback in New York, you have to have the thickest skin, right? Skin like an armadillo. And when I look at like the Jets, they have struggled to find that guy. That's why I think I think Aaron Rodgers is that guy because.
Oh, he doesn't care. Yeah.
He doesn't care about it. I feel like he goes looking.
Yeah, he does.
You know what I mean? Like, so he doesn't care. But like Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, these guys are like talented guys, but I think they don't have the skin for New York. They don't have that thick skin. And so yeah, I think so. And that's why I put Eli Manning up there as one of my, one of the best quarterbacks I played against, not just because he was so successful, but he did it in New York over a long period of time with a lot of ups and downs. And there'd be some hard nights over there for him.
But I mean, like, especially since this conversation is going to come to fruition sooner rather than later, and Eli's getting into the Hall. Like, I think we all believe that Eli's getting into the Hall, but there was always that comparison between him and Phillip Rivers. And I'm not trying to take Phillip Rivers down a peg, but Phillip Rivers was beloved in San Diego. Like, they loved him. Like, and he was a lovable guy for them. It was not a hard thing for him to go and stand up on that podium and sit there and be like, yeah, we charged it away again. Yeah, like we're perennially. Okay, Phil. It's okay, Phil. You'll get him next year, buddy.
Chargers fans love everybody. They love the opposing team. They're just like, everybody's so happy over there. It's 80 degrees. And,
I know. Yeah, it's just got to be a product of the environment, man. That has to be it.
Oh, yeah.
But then you contrast that with Eli, throw for 250, 3 touchdowns, but 1 interception that maybe at the end of the game, is the deciding factor. And it's, hey, when are you going to retire? You're terrible, right?
That's it. I've been on that field. We get it's like week 2 right in Jet Stadium, and we're series, and there's a fumble or something, and they're booing us off the field. Like, go, like we just started. Well, yeah, and that was that contrast right there, Craig. When I got out to Kansas City, it's total opposite. Kansas City was very much like similar to San Diego in like, we got your back. We're behind you. We're not that New York fans don't have their back, but it was
no. They present it in a completely different way. Yeah. It is. We are displeased by this in Kansas City or other places, San Diego. We're displeased by this. We will only tolerate this for another 4 or 5 years before we're willing to be vocal about it. Meanwhile, the Jets, it's like, hey, this is preseason and we're going to move you off the field.
That's it. That's exactly. Yeah. Craig, you nailed it. That's exactly right.
Love it. Go to New York. Play quarterback. Mama, don't let your kid become a New York quarterback. That's what it is. All right. Christian Gumminger asked kind of a tongue-in-cheek quote right here. how good is Mahomes going to be when he's in his prime?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
man, it's still 28.
Still going up. Well, this has been on the news, right? This has been in, you heard Teddy Bruschi talking about comparing Brady's first 6 years to Mahomes' first 6 years, and how, Mahomes is just superior compared to, not superior, but clearly ahead.
Correct.
Clearly ahead. And so it's amazing. I go back and forth because, at least, so just to a side, because I'm thinking about what Bruschi said, and so comparing Mahomes and Brady, when we were back then, Patriots, everybody ran the football like crazy. So when you talk about the passing stat comparison between Tom and Pat, sometimes I wonder, what would Brady have been like in the NFL in 2024 compared to 2001 when their primary personnel was 22 personnel. You know what I mean? Like, they just ran
lots of play action passing. Yeah. But back to the question. I mean, it's incredible. And the thing is, you look at Tom Brady, what he did, he gets done, and we're thinking we're never going to see that again. We'll never see anybody do that again. I put him above everybody. Right. When you come even across sports, the Michael Jordans, the Tiger Woods, I think Tom Brady's the best athlete of all time. And what he did over the course of 20-something years is just mind-blowing. So I'm thinking, you're never going to see that again. And then Mahomes comes along, and we have a chance to see that again. And maybe even in the NFL now, you look at the first 11 years of Brady's career before the new CBA, those were hard years. And it's just getting, so, I mean, you look at how long these guys can go now, given how practices are cut back, pads are cut back. Mahomes can play the way they protect the quarterback. Oh, yeah. Physically, if God willing, he could play forever. I mean, it's like a punter kicker now. He kind of is.
Well, he's 30 years. So we really could see somebody surpass Tom Brady, the greatest athlete of all time. I mean, it's hard to fathom.
There are a few guys. Brady is one of them. Jerry Rice is another one that I think of, that I'm just like, they're like Gretzky-esque records where you're just like, no, that is insane. There's nobody that's ever touching any of those records ever, because it's insane. The longevity, and not just the longevity. It's not just like, oh, I'm kicking around on this squad and they're doing me a favor because I still want to play football and I'm getting 250, 300 yards a year. He's still putting up 1,000-yard seasons into his 40s. Like, it's insane what some of these guys did. And I wrote an article this week talking about how, if this rate the Kansas City Chiefs have been on, which is insane, for the start of Patrick Mahomes' career, if they do it for another 7 years, which again is insane to think about, but they've done it. So it could happen again. If he does it for another 7 years, he basically takes all of Tom Brady's postseason records. All of them.
Insane. I think Tom Brady's played in more postseason games than I played in regular season games. And and he's gonna and Mahomes can surpass all of that. I mean, it's just insane. But look at what they've done with
exactly.
It's just incredible, man.
Exactly. He's gonna be second all time in touchdown passes next year in the postseason. Next year. He's barely started this. I mean, and referencing Jerry Rice, Travis Kelce beat his receptions record. And if he has the exact same postseason that he just did this past year, when everybody said, oh, he's washed up, he's done, and all of that, he takes Jerry Rice's yardage record and his touchdown record away from him as well.
Which is totally due, which is like almost done. He's gonna,
I know. It's absolutely silly. So, I mean, I know that Christian Gumberger has, tongue in cheek, how good is he going to be in his prime? But seriously, Mahomes isn't there. To your point, he could play for a very, very, very long time. We are witnessing greatness right now. And it's wild to be sitting here right now and just being like, oh, yeah, all of those are going to be hits. Like,
incredible. So the thing is, I think of the mental growth that I had that a lot of other players have. Right at the point where Mahomes is, what is he, a year 7, year 8, something like that?
Is it 6 or 7?
Yeah, you're so like
yeah.
you hit a time period where you really learn the game even more. Like you're just like, oh, you're getting a little bit older. So he's coming up on that now, where he's he could double and triple down, get even better than he is. Yeah, you're right. It's nuts.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane here. So yeah, okay. Just DRK, love Spags is his name on the Discord here. I do as well. If Chris Jones leaves, do the Chiefs try and play in like a Christian Wilkins, Justin Matabuke market, or do you think that they try and fill out the defensive line with some, he calls them tier 2 or tier 3 stars, not trying to go out and break the bank for an elite guy? Do they try and kind of fill it out a little bit more and change the approach a little bit on the interior there?
Yeah, that's interesting. I would say the latter, and I think just because, it's like when I played with Revis, right? When you have somebody that's that dominant, you can alter and adjust the entire defense because you have one player that can shut down certain elements of the game by himself. So Chris is that guy, right? Where it's just like, he's so dominant that it just frees up everybody else. And Spags defensively, play calls, all of this stuff. You're not worried about, B gap to B gap. There's just nothing to happen. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do. You can't, there's nobody else like him. So I think if he goes, I think you change it up. You go with it, and going with the tier 2 guys can still get a lot done.
Oh yeah,
and you can free up money to pay all those Hall of Famers that you got. But Craig, we talk, pass rush is important. We're getting pass rushers, but we watch, we do the defensive film room. Nobody's running power in the A and B gaps. You know what I mean? So like you
take away the entire run scheme. That's eliminated from your playbook because
that's right.
Jones is there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I think you can get a lot done with a tier 2, better than I ever was, but tier 2 group. Again, freeing up cap space for other people, but ultimately, hopefully you don't let Chris go. I think you try hard as hell to keep him, but yeah, no, I think that's probably a place, if he does go, that again you see them step back, allocate those funds to, Creed and Trey have to be up on contracts soon.
That would be next year as well as Bolton. Buddy, and LeJerry Sneed obviously up on a contract. They could tag him and try and get a deal done this year. There's a whole lot of guys, and again, I know that I said this on the lab, but I'll say it here in front of Mike. If you listen to Steve Spagnuolo talk for 30 seconds after the Super Bowl about anything, all you're going to come away with is, they're paying Bolton a whole lot of money. Like he's the engine for this defense. So it's happening. So it frees up money by doing that. I agree with your sentiment there. And especially since they definitely trust this coaching staff. Joe Cullen has done wonders with it. So they might try and go a little younger with that, might try and go in some of those mid-tier guys and try and fill it out. Bring in a veteran or two. I mean, Mike Pennell obviously loves playing for this team. They keep him on the roster. Derek Nottie was on a 1-year deal this year. See how he's doing coming back from injury. Like there's lots of guys like that just make all the sense in the world to try and build that out if Chris Jones walks. So I think that if there is a position, like again, I do think they're going to try and get something done. But if the price tag is too high, and that is the position that I'm looking at, that they're going to go, okay, we're not going to spend a ton. We're going to trust in our coaching staff to get the job done, because why wouldn't you at this point?
Seriously. I mean, like how many games but just it's the nature of the position. We've seen Chris Jones do things that have changed the course of a game, right?
Otherworldly, yes. Mm-hmm.
But like how many Snead does that week in and week out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that position isn't going to change the game. That even when you have somebody like Chris Jones, it's not going to be a continuously changing the game. It's just not, that spot isn't conducive to that. So you're right. So yeah, if you're going to take a step back anywhere, that's the place.
especially when you've got linebackers like the Chiefs have. You know, get a couple guys that can keep them clean. Get this version of Mike DeVito on to keep him clean, so that Nick Bolton, Tranquil, Leo Chanel can go wreak havoc back.
That's a good way to think about it. Exactly. Yeah. I love it. Andy's still got my number. Give me a call.
Hey, there you go. You should text him and let him know that we talked about this. And his exact comment will be, Craig, who?
DeVito? What was that? Was he here?
DeVito? Are you related to Tommy?
Is that the quarterback of the Giants?
Yeah. Grayson Jaspers asked the question, who is more likely to be on the roster in 2024, Kadarius Toney or Justin Ross? I think, personally, I think it's Ross if I had to choose one of those two. Kadarius Toney being a healthy scratch throughout the entire playoffs and the stuff off the field. I just think the team's done.
Andy Reid doesn't play that stuff. He doesn't. Right. He doesn't play that stuff. He will. And I don't know the truth of the matter with that, or if that was
correct.
That was like nowadays those clips get cut out of context, and they could be from years ago. But the Chiefs know, and if that really was, Tony venting on there and talking all that crap, Andy Reid he's not playing that game. He doesn't care how good you are. He's not playing that game, and guys know that. So I would say Ross over Tony.
There was a quote that came out from, I can't remember, it was a former guy that played under Andy that basically said something. It's like, the most pissed off I've ever seen Andy get was giving another team bulletin board material or being, loud towards the fans or social media. Like, no, you don't do that. That's not it at all. And the fact that they healthy scratched him a number of times in the playoffs would kind of indicate that maybe they're done with it. So
I think that's right.
Sad end of the story for him there. But yeah, I do think that it's probably Justin Ross. Okay. Our last one here, Neil asks a football question here after his excellent main question. It says, Mike, is there actually an element of trying to hold on to plays or holding back on schemes for the playoffs? Or is that something that we say as fans to try and convince ourselves that our teams will be better in the postseason?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the installs that go in during OTAs and training camp, when you look at the entirety of a playbook, they're gigantic. And so whether it's holding back or whether you just naturally get to the playoffs and still have a ton of bullets still have a ton of options, a ton of plays in there. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I want to say that I don't think you hold back, because every week you're getting into that week and it's win at all costs. It's win round. You're not worried about, but if we run this down, we won't be able to run it, in the wild card game. I mean, I don't think that that's the thought. I just think that, especially Andy Reid, he just has so much that he can do that I think it's just a product of, hey, we haven't run this all year. We did it in camp. Let's break it out. This is the perfect time for it. And Andy Reid is great at figuring out where a defense is weak and highlighting that weakness with various plays. I mean, he's just incredible at it. And so, so I don't think it's more of them holding back. I think it's more of just the fact that there are so many plays that offense knows how to run that they'll have plenty left over to use in the playoffs that haven't been on film.
Yeah. And I mean, there's also so many, just the most minute tweaks to plays on offense or on defense. Like you're seeing stuff that they're playing, that they're going to layer stuff on top of. And so maybe it looks like, oh, well, they were holding that back because they wanted to run it against this certain team. Now, that's not to say that, they come up against like a running quarterback or something after playing a whole bunch of pocket passers in the first run. Yeah, obviously you were unleashing some of the stuff that you're going to do for that. But, I don't think it's as simple as just saying, okay, well, we're just not going to run any of that stuff at all and just try and get by. I know
the sense of urgency every week is just as high. It's like you're trying as hard as you can to get to the playoffs. So you're throwing everything at them every week. Yeah. There's no.
I make the joke all the time that Andy Reid would love to win every game 13-10 and not show anybody anything just so he has the full playbook to open up in the postseason. But in reality, that's not the case. You know, he's diving into stuff. We see tweaks on it every single week. But I think to the point of trying to be your best in the playoffs, when you get into a rhythm, when you get into it with, you know, really good coaches, I know you played for some as well. You played for Andy, for Rex Ryan. These guys know how to build throughout the season. It's not as simple as, okay, week one, we're coming out, we're doing everything, we're 100%, we're doing everything we can. Yeah, I believe Bill Belichick even said at one point in time, it's like, it doesn't matter what my team does in September. We want to win, but we need to be playing at our peaks in December. So it's about ramping up towards that. And so, yeah, you can speak to that a little bit, playing for some coaches that obviously knew how to do that.
Well, and you brought Bill Belichick up. So now you have me thinking, a question to my original, because Belichick will change the whole dang defense in the middle of the season.
That's true.
Remember years they started as a 4-3, and then week 8
it is a 3-4. It's insane that he's able to do that. Like, yeah,
that's maybe there's more. Maybe he might have been one that was holding up.
Yeah,
you bring up a great point. Like, also, as you're going through the season, you're adapting, you're learning, you're seeing what you're good at, not good at. You're installing new things based on, oh, actually, we're really good at this, right? Snead is actually like Rita. So now we can do more stuff over here. So you're right. So the defense isn't, here's everything, and then it's static, never changes throughout the whole season. It adapts, new stuff comes in. So you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's one of those, and I wonder if we're going to see Andy Reid evolve his approach at all. You hate to just walk into every season and say you're in the postseason, but also when the results kind of show that, you know, hey, do enough to get there and we'll do it. I wonder if there will ever be kind of a different approach to it. I mean, I hope not, because part of what I do on KC Sports Network is talk about this team in the regular season, and I would like it to continue to really matter. So
we'll see you next time.
Yeah, can you imagine if we get to August and I'm just like, okay, well, cool, we're gonna take a break. We'll be back at the end of December, it's January now. We're back in January, and you know we'll cover the postseason. Like,
that's what we do.
That's really what matters. It's just absolutely insane that they're this successful and all that. I want to thank everybody for asking such wonderful questions. I want to thank Big Mike DeVito for joining me. This was a lot of fun, brother. I really enjoy doing this each and every time I get to do it with you. I'm Craig Stout. For everybody here at KCSN, be kind to each other, and we will catch you later.